Welcome to Same Spit, Different Face TV. Well, my opinions is facts, and if you don't like my opinions, you can start your own podcast. And it's free. So don't forget to spit on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification. If you clicked on the video to hear what the feds say about Lil Durk new murder for hires, I need you to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Now, Spit Squad. Everybody know that Lil Durk tried to get back in court, and he basically said, hey, the feds are using fake lyrics, fan-made lyrics, lyrics that were made 7 months before this even happened to try to say that I did some things that I didn't do. Now, based on this new information, the internet started buzzing. Everybody started saying he finna get out, he gonna get a bond, the feds trying to railroad him, all of this is a lie. Now, I'm not gonna lie, even when I first heard that one with the no on it, I thought that was made by them, but everybody's saying that was a fan edit and not made by Lil Durk team. So 1090 Jake did his video and his video went crazy. So right after that, the feds basically dropped their response. And in the response to the Lil Durk motion, they basically said, hey, he was able to make this happen because he knew that this was going to happen previously. That's basically what they trying to say. They saying that, yeah, these lyrics came earlier because he already had the plan in motion. This is what they trying to say. Now, another thing that the feds is trying to say, they basically saying that even though this may not be the correct one, these lyrics do go for the murder for hire, and they played another song or added or referenced another song that basically say, hey, this does still reference that he's trying to get people hurt. And that's what we're saying. Now, one other thing I think the feds were trying to do, right? I don't think they wanted to get Lil Durk right away. Once that gun case went away with that shooting with him and King Von, and they basically had said, yo, we got Lil Durk sticking his arm out the window shooting. That's what they said at first, but then they came back and said, yo, Von is dead. We don't have any information on Durk. And then that case was sealed. I was like, it's something crazy going on here. Something ain't right. I just didn't know what it was. And now we know that it's because the feds was looking into him. Now, this murder for hire for the Lil Pab situation, that turns out to be one, but then we also got to keep in mind that the feds are basically saying that he has something to do with the murder of the guy who allegedly had something to do with the murder of D-Thang at, I believe it was Club O in Chicago, or the outer skirts of Chicago. The feds also said in this paperwork to the judge that, hey, he haven't added anything new to the bond, and you rejected the first bond. But the reason the judge rejected the first bond is because he was under the assumption that, you know, Lil Durk had did these murders for hire, and he was blatant with what he was doing, and he was saying all of these things inside of music, and the feds basically presented it as if he was profiting through music off of what was known as a murder for hire plot. One thing's for sure, two things for certain, the feds are not trying to let Lil Durk out of jail. And Lil Durk basically said, listen, I'm not fighting this sitting down. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to speak up. And he basically did a call to action and told the fans that his rights are being violated. And he's fighting for not only music, but he's fighting for the rap artists to be able to use their lyrics without having their lyrics used against them, because this is freedom of expression. This is freedom of speech. And he's writing that doing music is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But the problem with being a gangster rapper who rapping about things that are happening and going down around you is that if anything happens in real life, well, that ends up putting you in a bad position. So let's just say we got gangster rapper A, and all he rap about is robberies. All he rap about is kicking in doors. All he rap about is robbing trap houses. All he rap about is when he was younger, he used to do breaking and enterings, right? And then let's just say a robbery happens in his area and it ends up being a robbery where somebody dies, somebody is killed inside of that robbery. And then some people attached to the gangster rapper did the robbery and they end up getting locked up for the robbery and the murder. Now let's just say the people who get locked up for it is always around this artist, they hang with him, they best friends, or just really close associates. Well, guess what? When the feds start looking around, the feds are going to look into that rapper because that rapper keeps rapping about robberies. The rapper keep rapping about catching bodies at robberies. So it's one of those things where, yes, you do have the freedom of speech, but if some of the things you saying even slightly line up to some of the things that are going around you, especially since you're trying to put out the image that, yo, I'm with this, I'm with that, it's get back, ain't nobody gonna do nothing to get away with it, well, then the feds are going to use that against you every single time. And guess what ends up happening? They use it against you in the grand jury, they get you indicted, they arrest you, and now you have to prove that that wasn't you to a group of your peers who not really your peers, who don't really understand the streets, who don't really understand lyrics, who don't really understand the culture, who don't really understand that a lot of it may be bolstering, or a lot of it may not be bragging, but it may be you trying to control your image and keep your street credibility up so you can sell more music. You may have had nothing to do with it. It's a lot of times where I've been in places growing up where people have done things and I've had nothing to do with it, but could have been easily dragged into it because of my affiliation with those people, and not like a gang affiliation, but just like knowing those people, and maybe even just going to play basketball with them sometime, or maybe even just hanging out on a block with them, or hanging in the projects with them. Like, it's easy to get swept up in something, and I've seen people get caught up in raids by police and go to jail and get the same charges as the people who was actually selling drugs, when those people weren't even selling drugs. They was just hanging in the trap with the people. They were just hanging around because they homies and they grew up together. And now you got to take the same charges as these people, even though you don't have the benefits of making the money off of the activity. So the feds really wanted to let Lil Durk stay on the streets a little longer. They wanted to let those people sit in jail. They wanted to basically start telling those people, hey, you sitting in jail for this. He's out there. He's living his life. He's at concerts. He's XYZ. And the feds were hoping the longer those people sat in jail, the more likely they would be to turn on Lil Durk, right? But then the feds got wind that Durk had 3 flights planned, and they don't know where the flights were going to at the time or which flight he was going to get on, but they know that those flights were going to 3 different places, and they know once he allegedly got out the country, if he was indeed trying to flee, they wouldn't be able to find him. Like, because once you go to some of these countries and you hit the ground, now you can have a person smuggle you to this place, or smuggle you to that place, or take you to this place, that place, and now you can get to somewhere where you can probably be extradited, but the resources it would take to extradite you would be more than the reward of actually getting you back. Now, I do believe if he was on the run, the feds will try to go get him, just because he's such a high profile name. In the same way NBA, NFL, MLB players build Hall of Fame careers off of stats, these feds, these DAs, these district attorneys, these lawyers, these judges, they build Hall of Fame careers off of stats of people they put away and give years out to. Them are their stats. How many years they give you, and how much crime they take off the street, and how much crime goes down by a percentage, or how much crime goes up. That's part of their statistics, and that's how they advance their career. So I do believe if he indeed was on the run and would have gotten out of the country, they definitely would have tried to use all of their resources to go get him. Then another thing the Fed said is that although he addressed the lyrics being old, or the lyrics not being true because some of it was fan made, the Fed said that he didn't address the fact that he had these different plane tickets and he was trying to get away. So I believe the Feds probably would have let Lil Durk stay on the streets for like maybe 6 more months to a year. Maybe try to see if they can get him doing something else. Maybe if they can get inside of his phone and see him texting somebody else. Maybe if somebody inside of the jail start using his name, saying something else, or maybe if one of the people just got tired of what was going on and said, hey, I need to get out because I'm never getting out if I don't tell on this person. Now, I think, and this is my last point I'll make, I think one of the main things that Lil Durk's lawyer was trying to do, obviously anybody who was there in the situation would know what was going on and what was happening, right? So if 5 people get arrested and 3 names are there, well, the 3 people who was a part of this would know who the other 2 people are. But what I think the lawyer was basically trying to do, he was trying to get the feds to admit that they have people cooperating on the case. And to this point, the feds haven't 100% said that they have people cooperating or who's cooperating. And I think the feds probably know that they could say, hey, this person is willing to cooperate, that person is willing to cooperate, and this is how we're going to pin him to this situation. He won't be able to wiggle out of it because this person knows everything about everything. This person knows about the planning. This person knows about the payment. This person knows the reasoning why. This person knows when it started. This person knows everybody who was involved personally. This person has been a part of the streets or this organization, quote unquote, for a alleged amount of years. And I think the Fed said, nah, y'all not about to trick us to give up who's the people who actually working on this case. So then something could possibly happen to them or something could possibly happen to their family. And those people end up being scared out of testifying. So I think that the Feds really saw through what they believe this is. I believe that the Feds believe that this was just a tactic to get the Feds to show their hands. And the feds aren't showing their hands. And if the judge strongly considers giving this bond, I believe then the feds will show their hands and say, judge, but they won't show the whole hand. They'll say, judge, we have this one person, he's in X, Y, and Z, and he's willing to testify, and he saw this and know that. But I think that's what this really boiled down to. Hey, they going to either have to show their hands or the judge going to have to give us a bond. And the Fed said, nah, we not showing our hand. If you're new to the channel and want more celebrity and hip hop content, hit the subscribe button. And if you hit the subscribe button, you're a part of the Spit Squad. So hit the like button. And for any Lil Durk videos you may have missed, go to the Lil Durk playlist at the end screen. Check out my original Chicago hood movie in the end screen, No Time to Play Fair. If you into sneakers, you a sneakerhead, you love seeing the new Jordans, Pumas, whatever it may be, subscribe to Kicking It with Fairplay 2333. If you trying to follow me on my basketball journey, my weightlifting and fitness journey, and also be inspired to get back on your fitness journey, subscribe to Fairplay, Flex, and Fadeaway. Also, any of these pages I just named, you can also find them on TikTok or Instagram.